Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to March Invitational 2025. Some extended coverage here of the undercards that were played without the ability to live cast them, because we need more casters here, Neblime, and that's why you're here too, right?
That's right, but all this playing of the game is very distracting. Why'd you make the game so fun, Pr0nogo, if you didn't want people to play it as well?
That's true. This is an excellent question from an unbiased journalist, and you have full White House access as
yeah, I'm here to give the people the truth. Pr0nogo,
right.
Why have you made such an amazing game? The people demand answers.
So we do have some
questions.
Yes, the tough questions. I'm being grilled here. We do have some interesting characters in this particular group. We get people who don't play super often in the 1v1 space, in Raenarill, who is slated as the upperclassman of this group. But we also have BladehollowRWL, who I'll probably just refer to as Blade, because that name is a bit of a mouthful. And we have thisisjimmy. So Raenarill, Blade, and Jimmy are going to be our contestants here. We've got a Terran, a Protoss, and another Terran. And a lot of our players here are fighting for their ability to either be at the same class that they are, be at an aggressively upper class, or in Raenarill's case, probably just for fun. Since they mostly participate in the non-standard ones. As a reminder, this is the winner stays on rules, so we start off with a matchup that is randomly determined, and that was Raenarill versus thisisjimmy, so Bladehollow will sit out and watch. Obviously, I would predict that Raenarill would come out ahead because I've seen the mechanics that the other two players in the group have had, and obviously Jimmy has his own struggles with motivation sometimes. Blade just can't necessarily always find time to play, but when he does, he plays against you, Neblime, and plays against a number of other good players. So he does try to sort of spread out his games and get a lot of experience when he can. But Raenarill has just been here for a while, so I always tend to rest my laurels on whoever's been here has the longest tenure playing, and I think Raenarill is that guy.
Yeah, although it's interesting what you say. A lot of these underclass people, it's like, well, they're people who have been around, but they just don't have the time to practice and get good. And that's very understandable because, it's a tough game. It requires a lot. But then I think Jimmy's like the opposite archetype. He's only just got here, but he's grinding pretty freaking hard. So he's trying to get in there. He's trying to muscle his way in, but it's very frustrating, of course, when you're playing that many games. And of course, when you just start, you're just getting smashed in most of them.
Yep.
But I'm keen to finally see him in a tournament setting, see what he's bringing, And Blade's pretty new himself, actually, but clearly a bit more experienced with RTS than Jimmy. But still, that's the thing. We've got sort of the old hands who they have their ways, but they don't have time to sort of get the mechanical skill in there. But then you got these upstarts with a lot of energy, but it sort of swings around, and sometimes their mentality isn't stable either.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that's a great characterization of somebody like BiddyB, who makes a lot of maps, doesn't really play a lot of games, watches a lot of it, though, and still clearly invested.
Even when he plays, what comes to mind is the worker rush he did.
Yes.
Which, I was like, watching the start of that game, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is stupid. And, it kind of didn't work, it kind of did, but then, he played so calmly from that point, where it's like, yeah, he's obviously memeing and just having fun, but any newer player wouldn't have been able to pull that off,
Correct.
Playing just like it's like it almost didn't happen, and he was just playing like the start of a new game, and that's what's these players who've been around for a long time. They don't really feel the stakes or the pressure, and the
mental reset isn't there. Yeah. Listen,
exactly.
I mean, he was up against Sipiak for that game where he did the proxy matrix or whatever it was, and I think he killed his own.
Even in range?
Yes, and he killed his own Draken at one point. It was like a mess. It was on high water, so it was a banger because that map's epic. And then it's been an excellent memory to dredge up here. And so, the broader point being that players have their ways of doing things, and a lot of it is just staying calm, even if internally you might be burning up inside. So, hey, let's see if any players end up getting to that point where they need that little calmness break. We did see a lot of action in the upper cards. We've obviously casted Group B's undercard, where Smarty Cakes was able to take it. Raenarill is our oldest representative here as far as the sort of pedigree, their tenure in the game. And you're right, Bladehollow is newer to the game than Jimmy, but has a bit more experience overall. Anyway, it's going to be Raenarill versus Jimmy. Are you ready, Nebla?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. TVT, and by the way, I didn't mention this, but it is on the overlay, big and bold. Faction Wars is our game as opposed to anything else. And Jimmy immediately out here going for... oh yeah, even the obs choose. That's very funny. So Raenarill immediately gonna go for the Futurist Federation, But we've got Jimmy picking Orion. He wants to be vanilla. He is not playing with any faction. He's going to beat him fair and square with the melee tech tree. So that's kind of impressive already. Jimmy is up here in the top left. I guess he is our jet black Terran. No, he's dim gray. And then down here in the bottom right, we've got Raenarill. Not dark sapphire for once. That feels like almost a replay bug. Alice blue Terran. And Futures Federations are pretty good, right? But, I think Orion, at least you're at home here, Neblime. I know you don't know the factions as well.
Well, I'm trying to remember. Futures Federation, is that the one with the Southpaw and the, I don't even remember the names now. The Wendigo?
Yeah. So that's the upstarts. But you're right that those two are paired together. So Futurists actually are the ones that have the most units that are custom, technically, for any faction right now.
We'll have it very soon, because the Fulcrum's already coming down, and it's in an advanced position. Is Raenarill coming out here? I don't know. They're both going for Fulcrums here.
Indeed.
And I'm not sure about TVT meta, as you're probably aware. It's been a while since I've been playing Terran.
Yep. Yeah, Stockade and Fulcrum both have play in TVT, which is pretty cool, but definitely interesting here. Raenarill going for the Fulcrum. It means that he's not going to be doing the Futurist Mavericks, which are really beefy stat sticks of a shooter unit, but they don't have stim. So a lot of people aren't going to be as much of a fan of them, but their floor and ceiling is not going to fluctuate as wildly as default Mavericks. They're much more steady. He goes for a Vulture. No changes to the Vulture. However, the Cyclops for the Futurists has ally safe splash. And is just generally a bit beefier, but has overall less DPS because they attack slower. So that's like the way
really good against Zerg, not so much against Terran. Because when Zephs or whatever are getting on top of you, not only will you not be blowing yourself up, you last just a little longer.
Yep, definitely a good move there. It's funny, the scrapyard coming so fast for Jimmy, we know he likes blackjacks. The Tiengu is an option for the Futurists, and it does replace the blackjack, so kind of a good option there.
Yeah, Jimmy's the one doing all the stuff that would do something, isn't he?
Yes, he made a Cyclops, he's making the blackjack. Yeah, like, if the same thing was happening on the other side, we would actually see different units come out of Raenarill structures, but he's just going to go straight into Vultures. So I wonder if the Futures Federation faction pick was like a mind game more so, and he's just going to play standard. That's something that is announced everywhere in the game, so as soon as you pick, it is shown, as you guys saw in the replay there.
Factions have like tier 2 units. Well, I know the Divine Primacy does with the Luminary.
Yeah.
He's getting in here.
Yeah.
That's not ally safe splash. He takes out the Cyclops. He's gonna. Ooh, that's 8 HP Vulture. When this second Blackjack pops out, he'd probably be okay, but I know that Blackjack getting knocked down pretty fast. Yeah, I think he'll hold here. It's just a little trade.
There's a second Vulture coming out here, and no other units in production for Jimmy. He could be in trouble. He puts down one Blackjack in, but that is going to be a wrap for his Blackjack. Both of these Vultures very low for Raenarill. This might have been a little bit of a misfire here. The Blackjack about over halfway complete. The Mason will actually carve in 10 more damage into that Vulture, so making it a lot more doable here as the Lodestone is constructed. Big surround for Jimmy. He drills onto it. Just needs to attack it. There you go. Get back to mining, buddy. Everything else should be held.
I like how it just went straight in and got annihilated. All right, this one's a bit smarter. He's like, all right, I saw what happened to my buddy. I'm not going in. But he does get taken out. Most unnecessary stim. But he's going to stabilize, no problem. So everything back to normal.
Yeah. Remember the Lodestone is there. And it's triple Folk Vulture spam for Raenarill. He's also got enough money to maybe think about a Ministry. Mason moving in that direction. Mine's cleared over in Jimmy's base. Not going to pounce on that. He only has the one Vulture in position.
Yeah, I guess Raenarill's like, all right, I'm not here to do this fancy faction BS. I'm just going to make the units and run in and kill you. But, I mean, the window is passing. As long as Jimmy starts producing a little more from these structures, he's going to have enough stuff on the ramp that it's not really going to be possible to get in. A couple clerics will go a long way, of course, with those blackjacks. Ooh, a bit dangerous if he comes down, though. Gets hit by mine. That's exactly what Ray was waiting for. And now I think he just crushes through and kills everything. Cyclops doing work, though.
Yeah, the Stem Mavericks are going to help out, gunning down one more Vulture. Another one comes to take its place. We still have more units here. Jimmy kind of idle on the production. The Cleric is not going to help him out too much. The Cyclops should splash down at least one more Vulture, and that one is living with 10 HP, but his Fulcrums are idle. Neblime, this is the biggest issue here. He was making a Cleric during that. Oh, yeah, the Mason's hiding in the Lodestone.
Man, if he had a Blackjack in there, he'd probably be fine, but alas... He's the Cleric. The Cleric will save him. He can heal his Mason. No, he went down.
Every time that it happens, he just dies.
Go get in there. Go. The Maverick has to get in there. Okay, he makes it in. But he's out of range.
He's out of range indeed. The Cyclops will do its best. Cleric kind of body blocking, keeping the Vultures in one spot, but Raenarill is happy to continue harassing the Eco. Up by 6 workers, another Vulture swimming on in here. Single Blackjack for Jimmy.
Not for long.
Yeah, he tries to repair it, but he's a little bit too slow. Needs to be much more on the ball there. Unloads the units. They're very wounded. No Cleric here to heal them. They all died earlier. Oh, more vultures have arrived. The blackjack pops out of Jimmy's fulcrum, but GG is going to be called. He's too far behind, and Raenarill takes the first game.
Yeah, who needs these fancy faction units, he says.
Yeah, just pure non-stop. The only thing he goes for is the vulture. But hey, slow and steady. Maybe he's saying, no, you face me, and you make me have to build those faction units. Otherwise, I'm just going to beat you with the tier 1 stuff, the super basic stuff. So big deals there. BladeHollow will be stepping up to the plate, and I say we get right into game 2. Going straight into Check Stealer, and we've got the Starbound Protoss out of BladeHollow. He is our Blood Protoss in the bottom right, and in our top right, back in his old color, Dark Sapphire, Terran of Raenarill. So, I didn't actually catch the faction selection. Oh, it's Futures Federation yet again. Yep. Yeah. So I can tell because of the advisor. You get the nice little advisor change to indicate that. Cool. Yeah. So.
Oh, nice. I actually don't know, is the Starbound one the same as default? Because I haven't really noticed if what the advisor portrait is for Protoss. Even all this
it's still, I think it's still all Darius's head, yeah. So this is definitely changed, yeah. So the cool thing about the cool thing about the gateway here is that it actually has a couple of different options. So the Starbound Zealot has when it's not as durable, but when it dies, it ascends you the same way that Ecclesiasts do. So it gives you that movement speed, you know.
Okay, that's pretty good for Zealots.
Yes,
that could be huge, depending what the matchup is. Now we're getting these fulcrums again.
Yeah.
Is Raenarill just going to ruin our dreams of faction wars once again and just make some vultures and A-move him? I don't know. This is Check Stealer.
It is, and BladeHollow's going to scout him first. Raenarill should just take his scout and immediately move it to the bottom right once he sees this.
Yeah, but
and remember this was Blade's map pick, so.
I always think, what if it's a mind game? He's actually not going like the right way. He deliberately like came from the other angle, which is ridiculous, of course. But I don't know. I always think that. I don't want to be taken in. All right, Hierophant coming out. So he's already preparing for these vultures, if that's what's coming. I would love to see a second gateway.
Vulture, yeah. Scouts the fulcrum. It can assume it's a vulture.
And he really wants that scribe. Okay. He does get the second fulcrum. Does not want to let that scribe live, but he has no choice. Vulture starts coming out.
A lot of idols. Mason's over here right now trying to chase that scribe, but definitely going to get back to work. Second gate for Blade. So the other unit that you can get is the Cicadas, which is a Legionnaire replacement. And the way that it works is when it takes fatal damage, it shades like the Vagrant. So,
ooh, I love that.
Yeah,
is it as fast as the Legionnaire?
Yeah, speeds up, attacks faster, and obviously takes damage steadily during the whole process.
So it's a normal Legionnaire speed, and then it goes even faster once it's shaded? Oh my god.
I think it's a little bit slower than the Legionnaire by default. I can't quite remember. But yeah, it goes much faster than it when it's shaded, so.
That does sound pretty good, but I guess the thing is with that shade, because it's only like a Legionnaire, it doesn't have much health, so the shade won't last very long. It still sounds good, though.
I think it's pretty good, yeah.
Pr0nogo, what are you talking about? This isn't Faction Wars. This is clearly just a melee game. They're not going to make any faction units the whole game.
Yeah, second Hierophant coming out. He thought he picked Calendric Knights for their Ashguard, but no, it's going to be the Hierophant. You know what's so funny? Blade has a sense of honor about him as he puts his third gate down. Funny to say about a Protoss player, but he has the sense of honor about him that he thought that the Ashguard was doing more damage than intended, and he says, I will ban myself from making it. And I was like, no, it's intended. And he's like, oh. So, you know, nice thought. But 3 Cicadas is on the way. Those are the, that's the unit coming in, so.
I mean, I guess we might have predicted this, because Hierophants and Legionnaires naturally go hand in hand, or should we say Cicadas as well. You know, since that they're not actually Legionnaires, and we need a... Oh no, look at his mineral line. Oh no.
Oh no. Well, hopefully he catches that.
Oh, he might. Yes, I think he will if he keeps moving forward. Oh, one more shot. No, it's going to get away. Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, the Cicadas are out. They do more damage as well, or no? The Legionnaires always do 10 damage?
Yeah, they do. This is actually 2x5, so it's a little bit worse on armor.
1 armor pen, though.
Yep, 1 armor pen, so it'll ignore the Cyclops, it'll ignore... the Vulture doesn't have any anyway. The Phalanx, though, is coming in.
Can they capture them? Without the Legionnaire passive, or I guess active, you could call it, they can't really get in there as easily, but there is the Hierophant stepping out. Look at that, he shades in. The shade does die quickly, but it gets a couple good more attacks in. Man, they do the damage, don't they? Oh, and they're buffed by the Hierophant as well, but they go down so fast.
He needs to get melee distance. There we go. One of the Hierophants is going to get popped, however. A little bit slow on the rock there because that Phalanx...
He needs to get out of here. No, he's going to stay and get murdered. Why?
Well, he at least put the final tick. He made the Phalanx red at the very least. You know, that was his honor.
Imagine if it was permanent. Then it'd be worth it.
Could you? Yeah, people would be up in arms at me. You know, this still kind of looks pretty good for Blade because Raenarill made an anchor. He goes into a more defensive position where he gets a second one of his phalanxes. He made one Futurist Cyclops, making another, and Blade can just expand. He's also put down a lattice, which I don't think. Oh, the Futurist Manifold is a thing. So, or sorry, the Futurist Manifold, the Starbound Manifold. So the Starbound Manifold has multi-target, attacks 3 units at once, and
but
still
no
does.
pen, I assume? What?
It's a little bit different. It's an armor rend instead of an armor pen buff. So
that might be even better, to be honest.
it rends up to 3 specific enemy targets, 1 armor. It doesn't stack. So
we got the Futurist Cyclops. It's happened.
That's right. Yeah, one of them got picked off earlier. Now he's over. He's a little chonkier than the other one. It would have been easier to compare if Jimmy was there, you know?
How slow they are. It's like they're walking through mud.
Yeah, they gotta. That's a heavy weight of their ally safe splash damage. You know.
Right.
They're smart munitions. They weigh a lot.
These faction units clash. So my question before they kind of cut off by the game development strictly: are there many tier 2 units for any of these factions?
That's actually a big point. Is that I'm just kind of working on making sure that tier 1 has stuff right now. There's the Luminary for tier 2, which you called out for the Golden Republic, and then of course the Nidus Trinity's Tarask used to be tier 2, but now Phalanx is tier 1.
Maybe it should be, man. That thing's pretty good.
It's pretty powerful. So, and you know, the Trinity Eidolon does exist now. It's like it moves faster while cloaked, and so that's
actually
like
pretty strong. Yeah. What does it lose in exchange for that?
A little bit of range and a lot of attack speeds. It's much more of like a measured sniper unit where it wants to reposition while still being cloaked. I think it regenerates HP faster while cloaked. That's not really that relevant. It doesn't.
You know what? These Cyclops are a great choice against these cicadas, but I don't know about the Phalanxes. They're going to kind of blow up his own Cyclops. We'll see how this goes. There's a lot of good mines as well. It looks like Bladehollow's thinking about attacking. He does have that manifold, which is very interesting looking with those colors. You know, it looks quite different. All right, hang on. Here we go. One mine goes down, quite a good one. Phalanx is getting good shots in. The Cyclops trying to pull back as best they can. Oh man,
couple is already shaded. Oh yeah, they get so quick though. Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. The anchor had nothing in it. A bit of a bait. Front line for both players has fallen.
The armor end came in there and took it out really fast. So it's not a bad trade for BladeHollow, but he's not going to break through here.
Yeah, indeed. That Goliath almost falling. The Phalanxes are almost completely naked, too. You imagine maybe if he just threw a couple more units at it. Got a lot of idle scribes that is natural. Still, I think the pressure he's providing, you know, Raenarill kind of playing it a little bit like a tower defense or maybe a campaign mission where he's just defending as best he can, but he's only going to now start developing his economy. The expansion's still about 150 minerals away. Made the star pad for 1 Anseal, and that's it. Now going to repair his Goliath, so... Still in good shape as far as the defense goes, but Blade can eventually tech out to, you know, again, not the crazy faction stuff that doesn't exist yet, but he is adding a Stargate, so, you know, he can still get the normal units.
Well, you know, if you had, you know, infinite time and resources, would you replace, like, every single unit? Would that be kind of the concept here? Or only just a few? Sort of like how Tier 1 is now?
Yeah, it's supposed to basically be like, for Protoss at least, it's like 2 units out of each structure that they have will be replaced.
Well, and that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, so you can imagine that's going to take some time. Like, there's not a second unit out of the Lattice for the Starbound yet, but there will be. There's the Calendric Knights have the Simulacrum concept that I've got, where it's going to have last orders from the Aurora instead of the.
That's so OP, dude.
Yeah. And well, it doesn't split anymore, so that's the major thing, right? It's a completely different kind of unit where you have to make more of it to spam, and then they will immediately go after whatever's closest to try to kill it. So.
Well, I gotta say, these manifolds, just on paper, seem totally busted. If I was playing Faction Wars, I think I would pick Starbound and just mass these manifolds.
Yeah, the multi-target, plus they do have a little bit of self-synergy where they do rend 1 armor of the target, and that does give it the ability to, you know, benefit a little bit more. It has 0 armor pen by default, right? So Gladius on the way for Blade. That's a good thing we can do. We can actually start talking right here and now, Neblime, about which upper tier units you think should be replaced, and the Gladius being a Starbound replacement, like maybe that should be a thing, you know. So
well, what would you have it do? I mean, it seems kind of obvious if you like remove the bounce in exchange for something, but I don't know what that would be. Hang on a moment. Raenarill coming out with sort of half of his force, leaving his heavy artillery behind might be a bit of a mistake, but then it gives him more space to kite back, and BladeHollow coming in for a sort of disjointed attack. Oh man, he's taking a lot of damage actually. This is looking quite good for Raenarill so far, getting a lot of damage with those Cyclops. And there go the Phalanx firing away, kind of missing the status as they're too fast, but he gets right in on top, trying to get that friendly splash. Not from Cyclops, he won't. Those manifolds make such a loud noise, so I think the Phalanx will devastate this army completely.
Yeah, they're trying their best to break it down, but yeah, that is an utter crush. He moved out before his Air Force was even ready. His first Gladius finished in the middle of that battle. and now he's got another one coming up. So definitely feels like right now what we need to see out of Blade is a little bit more of a defensive play. Raenarill going to be rolling with 5-6 phalanxes to his name. Yeah, so that's going to be a good amount of artillery. He can try to siege down some of these extreme bases. I think he can, if he puts right here to the left of that nexus on the upper area, the third nexus that Blade has, I think he could actually range down the nexus from that position, right above the mineral field.
So. Well, it might not matter. I don't think there's enough military units in general. How much anti-air is here? A few Goliaths will be enough to handle these Gladius, but if they get taken out real quick, you never know. But with no armor pen help from these manifolds, Gladius not going to do as much. I mean, he's getting in there, getting good damage, but yeah, his units die so fast, as will the Gladius to all these Goliaths.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, only one Gladius remains, another one about to pop out. I don't really think it's a greatest of choices. If he knew he was going to be on the defense, he probably would have opted instead to go after the Exemplar.
Yeah, would be very good in this situation, especially if those cliffs would make this very good on this map. That's giving me ideas if I have to play this map again, God forbid. Maybe that's what I'll try and do.
I did have to double check that Check Stealer was actually still in Class 1 map pool, because I kind of forgot it was. So, all right, well, the Gladiuses are going to come back in.
Oh, he's depowered. I didn't realize that Lattice was only powered by the power. That makes sense. And now it's just these Gladiuses. Oh, they're taking a lot of damage. One of them survives somehow. I'm kind of surprised. But
listen, if the Anseal moves it forward to actually scout that Stargate, the Phalanxes will kill the Stargate next, so he's got to watch out for that.
Oh, he certainly won't kill that Goliath with those Gladius shots. The Gladius are so low, they're going to go down any second. Oh, we did get one of the Goliaths somehow. Man, BladehollowRWL has so much money and he's not building anything. Yeah,
he's just trying to use what he's got right now to produce, but he's not going to ever win the fight that way. I mean, there's a bunch of units that are idling behind the Phalanxes right now that Raenarill doesn't even remember he has. And he's making 3-4 Goliaths each time, yeah, so there's the deployment.
Oh, here they come, here they come. Oh, he doesn't even need him. He takes out the Gladius anyway.
Yeah, this is very, very rough for Blade. Looks like he's going to be, I think as Jimmy calls him, Bliat Hollow instead, so...
Yeah, he's pretty screwed. GG.
All right, well, Raenarill will go up 2-0. Kind of seeming sort of as we would have expected. And that means it's a rematch there, a TVT. And that definitely is an opportunity for redemption for Jimmy. Because personally, I think he can play a lot better than what he did in that game. Even though it was a rough start, he can hopefully shake it off, although that can be difficult to do if you're already struggling with the nerves. So let's see what he's doing as we get into Game 3. We are back in TVT land. It's Germination picked by Jimmy, who is AFK right now. Oh my god, he's once again choosing the Orion Imperium, and it's Nidus Trinity for Raenarill. So that's going to be interesting.
Man, it's just the best one, there's no doubt. It's just the strongest one.
Yeah, people like cohorts for sure. I don't even know if Raenarill will be going for that. He's not getting any Vespene, so I think it will be a Stockade open. He's our Dark Sapphire Terran in the top left, and Jimmy down here. It looks like he's dim gray again. Indeed he is. Kind of wiggling around and waiting for his Stockade money. There it is. Putting down in pretty much the same time there.
He's not even making workers right now. Okay, there you go. He is going to do it. Jimmy's making the Stockades as well, so it could be a Maverick versus cohort battle, which I don't even know how that goes, to be honest. But I'm keen to see this, because I like the Nidus Trinity. If I'm playing Terran Faction Wars, that's what I'd probably pick if I'm just trying to win. Okay, yeah. Everybody likes the Tarrasque more than the cohort, I think. But the cohort's still pretty definitely good. Yeah, the Tarrasque is honestly just OP. It kind of kills everything, but nah, Jimmy doesn't. Nah, Jimmy doesn't think so. Sorry, dude. You've been dismissed. I have no chance. I have no chance. It's GG. I hope he doesn't just leave. That would be pretty anticlimactic. Yeah. Now, Raenarill has encouraged him. That's not true. Yeah, that's right. This is a different level of difficulty. This is Jimmy difficulty. Jimmy's typing instead of making any units. Yeah, he's down to 0 APM. I mean, he might be right about that. Yeah, well, maybe. He hasn't scouted his opponent yet. He doesn't know that he's going for just Mass Maverick right now. What am I doing? You're not playing the game. That's what you're doing. Wait a minute. Cohort doesn't replace Maverick? It replaces Cyprian. Oh, I didn't know you could have both. Yep. Yeah, the point is, like, people have asked me what's up with that before, but the reason why it replaces the Cyprian is because I wanted it to functionally change how the matchups worked and like what compositions you would make. So not having access to Cyprian and instead having access to cohort just changes what Terran can do versus like, oh, the Maverick is different, right? Which is like, it still would do it, but it's not to the same degree, right? Well, it makes you wonder, is there any point going for both, or would you really rather just pick whichever one's best for the job? Whatever you think is going to happen. There they are. Well, don't the regular Mavericks get nervous when they see their cohort brothers? Like, I hope I don't end up like that.
Yeah, or maybe they do. They are the Trinity cultists after all. Maybe that's what they want to be.
True. Well, do they sort of want to be infested? It's more just like they see it as like, giving the holy Zerg they have their due by giving them some human bodies or whatever.
Yeah, well, that might be what the upper class thinks. The upper crust of the Nidus Trinity. They're like, yes, my brothers, you must go and become infested. While the rank and file fodder have been, what would you say? They've been propagandized into thinking that absolutely everything to do with Zerg is good and just.
Well, I'm sure that Maverick right now is wishing he was a cohort because he doesn't have regeneration. His buddy's standing next to him like, that's painful.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
We have bio on both ends, so this will be an interesting clash, right? The Huracan's coming out. It's going to be good tanking. But don't the cohorts have armor pen? Yeah, they have 2 armor pen.
They do, yeah. They're going to ignore the armor of the Huracans, but pretty important detail here. Cyprians are very good, actually, versus the Mavericks and versus the cohorts if the Huracans rend that 1 armor. They're very durable units, the cohort. But they don't deal as much damage as a Maverick, and they don't tank as well as a Huracan, right? They're kind of in between, and they have their own niche with their revive passive. But yeah, it's the best thing that you can do is you can melt the armor on the cohorts, use the Cyprians to penetrate them, and kind of nullify the extra health they get from reviving. Raenarill going to go ahead and drop a Ministry here at his natural. And Jimmy's he's making a lot of stuff. He's gotten through his nerves, and he's adding the sieve, he's added more stockades.
This is a mighty army he's built, he has a lot of offensive potential here. Although I'm not sure what he has that can get through the enemy Huracans except his own Huracans. So whoever wins this battle, Huracans sure are going to lose.
Yep, well, he's going to make sure to stim his Mavericks in the fight. That's the main thing. Adding a Vestry already. Good to see. He'll hopefully have a couple Clerics or a Shaman or something. But for now, he's thinking about maybe moving a little bit further closer to the enemy position.
So is that you trying to manifest, saying he will remember to stim?
Yes.
He's trying to make it a reality?
I'm telling him he must do that. That is his goal. Yes. His goal is not to win the game. His goal is to stim. That's it. He just needs to stim at the right time, and then the win will come naturally.
And you know what? Huracans actually have sort of a disadvantage here because if they get close and then die, they're giving the cohorts those corpses, though. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, he doesn't need to wait for his own units to die for that particular thing. But the Huracans will hopefully outlast the damage that are dealt by a couple of the cohorts. It really depends on the engagement, right? If Jimmy comes at it with a concentrated move, then that can definitely help. 4 cohorts and an anchor. That's not going to leverage their passive whatsoever. Need to get that stim going, Jimmy. There's the stim.
Yes.
I told you.
Nice.
I told you he'd remember. He's actually heckling out those Huracans nice and early. His Huracans descend upon those cohorts, burning them down. This is actually looking pretty good. He does need to stim again. Jimmy will stim again. Jimmy will stim again, Neblime. Jimmy will stim again. No, Jimmy won't stim. Oh, there we go. It's a little bit too late.
His stuff is getting annihilated. Oh my gosh, no, he's been picked off for sure. And like I said, those cohorts, man, they're eating those corpses. They're fine. He keeps so much of his army.
Thanks, admin. Appreciate it. I forgot. I fixed that in pre-release, but not in release. That the non-players get the prompt. So that's pretty funny.
Shit. Yeah, that's what his army's saying right now after seeing that. My all failed. Well, he has a ministry. I don't know what he's saying. In fact, he's only 3 workers behind, so he's doing okay here. But he does need to rebuild an army, which he's done, actually. So props to Jimmy for macroing behind that quite well. Compared to Raenarill, he actually has a bigger army again. And it wasn't a bad attack. It did not break through the anchor, definitely making a huge difference there. But it was pretty well executed. I quite like that. And he's got the Clerics now. Bunch more bio made.
Yeah, maybe he can try to heal some of his Cyprians or Mavericks after they're stimming in and trying to go for it. The Huracan's most likely not going to be healed too much, but I think he's leveraging the Cyprians well. They carves through any wounded, Huracan on Huracan violence, any Huracan on cohort, and then, of course, the Maverick just natively doesn't have enough armor to stop the Cyprian shot. So it's very, very effective there. But you saw once the Huracans kind of dwindled, the Cyprians fell off a lot versus the cohorts, and he needed the stim DPS to make up for it, but he just didn't hit the stim key. I don't want to say that it's as simple as Jimmy stims there and he wins, but he would have been in such a good position from that point that he would have at least been ahead, despite being behind on the expansion timing. He would have killed workers or denied mining time in the natural and eventually been cleaned up after that. So just another thing to think about, like, especially if you feel like it's hopeless in a moment and you go back and watch the replay, you can see, oh, wait, I could have just won or done better if I had done this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, he hasn't given up yet, has he? He's still
right.
Here. He's still got his
he might have typed as much that he has, but he hasn't. He's still going.
Well, maybe he should have, though, because the Terrastas are coming out, and they are going to decimate any bio army, I think.
Yeah, if you get some Hurricans on there, the Stim Mavericks can clean them up, but definitely a tall order. I think, ironically, what you want versus the Tarrasques when you see this, especially if you've got a bio army, is you actually want Ant Seals so that you can protect against their damage. Instead of trying to heal for all the damage that they deal, because they spread it out so much, right?
Well, they are kind of squishy, so is there some kind of way you can just set yourself up to kill them before they do too much damage, you know, especially at range?
Yeah, they got 60 less health than a Phalanx. I think that's another thing, is if you just don't allow them to walk in, your own Phalanxes could counterkill them.
Here we go. He's working his way across slowly but surely. There's only one Tarrasque right now, the second one rolling down. I mean, if he sets up a nice arc, I can definitely see him crushing through this army, because Raenarill's sort of in disarray. He's not well organized. Okay, he's starting to sort of get in position just in time, it seems like. Now, if Jimmy can claim the ramp, which seems he might, will he stim, though? Or he's pulling back? Or is
Jimmy will stim. Jimmy will stim this time, I promise. Jimmy will stim. There it is. Oh, he snipes one Tarrasque immediately. Good picks there. Now his Hurricans are kind of getting beaten up a little bit, but he's definitely pushing him in, and he even re-stims. My hero Jimmy re-stimming forward. This is actually really good.
I mean, they're getting good healing, but they could get more. Okay, but now the Tarrasque in the back is doing so much. He's getting a bit overcommitted, too close to the Tarrasque there. He could have held back a bit. But then Cyprian's still in the back, still decimating everything they see. He's doing the damage. One shot.
Oh, there it goes. Finally, that second Tarrasque falls, but it did over 700 damage.
Almost, man, almost.
It's a story of two almosts there. Jimmy definitely could have had it. But we're going up to 4 Tarrasques now, and then I think at this point he does need something at longer range. Like, he either needs, like, Eidolons or Savants or something like that, or, you know, some mech that will deal with it.
I mean, here's the thing. He was, you know, he did lose the army fight, but he's been producing at home, and, like, he's only one worker behind when that ended. Now he's ahead again. He's getting his defenses, although I feel like he kind of has enough as long as he keeps production up. Yeah, if he gets all this stuff down, I think he has plenty of defense here. Well,
yep, he's got his anchors set up. He's going to need to garrison them pretty quickly. He's still doing well to pick individual targets. And look at that, the confidence to dive forward and kill off one of those Tarrasques. I think a lot of it, I mean, the second one takes a lot longer to bring down, but that's because the Hurricans didn't rend its armor. I mean, the Mavericks would have just chewed through it otherwise. You saw how fast the first one died. And the second one almost died in the process.
Yeah. Maybe it's like more fear, because when I see a Tarrasque, I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna die, I gotta kill it, so it makes sense. But now with these anchors and Cyprians in them, I think he'll be totally fine. And again, Raenarill's sort of building up a force here. Maybe he's thinking to attack. I guess the Hurricans, once they burn them, then Tarrasque can do the damage. I don't know.
Yeah, he needs to make sure that his Tarrasques steer clear of the enemy armor rend, because if that comes out, it's pretty much over, and the Tarrasques just get lit up immediately. But, you know, the army is kind of all the way up here. The Hurrican's not in front of the anchors. This is going to allow Raenarill to burn them down.
And you know what? The primary attack from the Tarrasque doing plenty to kill those anchors. And now that they're down, he has no defense. He is going to get splashed down. The worker's so vulnerable to these Tarrasques. Oh, I don't know if I want to look at the slaughter. I'm closing my eyes, Pr0nogo.
He had a little bit over 1,000 minerals during that. He's only now made a round of Mavericks. Atlas is finished, but he's not got anything to do anything with it. Puts down a captaincy. It's definitely not going to be enough. Raenarill not even attacking the worker line right now, just tearing down the ministry. And there it goes. The Hurricans did more damage to the workers instead.
He just has to stand in the vicinity, and those workers will die.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is definitely looking at the end. I mean, he's got Cohort, Hurricane, Tarrasque. What a bizarre and strange comp, but definitely pretty deadly. Sentinel on the way now for Jimmy. He's trying to hold on the single base that he's got. Raenarill setting up a third in the meanwhile. Looking very dire, but tech can play a part in some of these games. Even, this is obviously like way beyond the pale if this comeback were to happen, but I'm not going to rule it out because this is an undercard game, right? You know, if this was like 2 more skilled position players, I think actually the GG would have already been called if equivalent thing had happened, right? But you never know what can happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's getting his third base right. He's pretty well organized. And he's not going to wait anyway.
Yeah, that's the key thing, because the Apostle was coming out of the captaincy, and all those Hurricans just shredded the bio of Jimmy. The Sentinel doesn't even finish on this right there. The other one will go down, and all those corpses, but the Apostle never made it.
No, they will never be reclaimed. Maybe, you know, after this is over, the United Trinity officers will come through and incorporate them into something greater, but they will not be reclaimed for Jimmy. I think he's done here.
The one Tarrasque chasing after the Apostle as it desperately hangs on. It's the only thing left for Jimmy, and it's dead. Well, GG is called. Jimmy has been routed again. Not a great start for him, but honestly, that game was way closer than the first. Like, he actually went across the map. He did some damage. If he stims the second time, the first time, if he re-stims the first time, then he's good. And I think otherwise it was just down to, like, target selection with Hurricanes there. Would have done a very, very big difference. So, Raenarill shoots up to 3-0. But honestly, even though everybody's fearing the Tarrasque, it looked like there was some counterplay there. I was very surprised, and pleasantly so, that Jimmy was able to make things happen, even though he's not actually playing into the faction part of it.
Yeah, they definitely was very threatening there and had chances to win. So looking strong. Just needs to keep refining, I think. So it's a good performance for sure. But hey, he's not done yet. He's still other chances.
Indeed, indeed. All right, well, Raenarill looks to win the group flawlessly, going up against BladehollowRWL, who had some good attempts early on, but not quite getting across the finish line on Check Stealer. Let's see what happens in Game 4. We are back. It is BladehollowRWL. In the top right is our Blood Protoss. He is the Sacred Saber. And Raenarill in the bottom right is the Futurist Federation. Once again, he is our Dark Sapphire Terran. And this is Tesseract, picked by BladehollowRWL. It is vertical positions, I guess you could say, like all on the, well, it's, yeah, vertical spawns, I guess you'd call this, right? So top right, bottom right. So yeah, cool stuff.
He didn't go Starbound again, but I do like the adherents. They're pretty cool, but they look kind of jank, I gotta say. They look a bit like oversized when they're running around there. But I hope he makes them. Yeah.
Probably something that I wanted to change the model anyway, because I like the idea that the weapons come from the limbs and not from the, like, their wrist-mounted or arm-mounted weapons, like the Ecclesiast has, and not and in the Zealot even. That's what I did for the Cicadas. But the move for the Adherent was just to give him a big old sword, and that's yeah. I don't think that's really ideal for Protoss. So.
The Purifier that exists only in my mind, you know, so it looks more like that. So maybe I should approve of it. Guys, the Cross Scout does not find his opponent.
No, yeah, Blade is already in his enemy's base. Sees the Fulcrum.
Yeah. Once again, will Raenarill just be making vultures? Wait, I didn't even see. What did he choose?
Futurist again. So back to what he was the first two games.
Yeah, he's got his pick, I guess.
I still want to see the Tiangu in action, but I don't actually think... at least I'm kind of meta-reading here, but like Jimmy said something about how Blade told him the Tiangu was nothing, like nothing worth looking at, and then gave him a clown face. And then that I assume that means that Raenarill doesn't play it here. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, sad.
Well, Jimmy's, you know, I don't know if Raenarill tried it, but Jimmy probably didn't because he doesn't know what the unit is. So that's my guess.
Yeah. Oh, come on. He's got to make those, what do you call them? Appearance. I want to see him, man.
Yeah, he's first off. Well, listen, Order of the Sacred Saber Drakenon's pretty banger. It's Veek's favorite unit, even though he hasn't played it yet. Do? It's just it's like beefier, shoots for a higher cooldown but more damage, you know, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, that's good because usually you want to like move in and take a shot, then run away. So that does sound strong.
Yeah. It's much more about kiting. I don't remember if there's... I think I balanced them up by making them a little bit slower. But it's going to be 2-gate Nexus before the second gate even finishes, draining his coffers very early on. He knows that his opponent is going for a slower strat. So... Also, it doesn't look like Raenarill even found him yet. So...
Yeah, he's making the right call because it's a blind anchor, right? So he's going to be way ahead in the economy, I think, here. And I don't expect he'll die. Well, he's making that chunky Dragoon. I can even see in the production image, it does look a bit different.
Yeah, I took a shot of it when its thing was open because it's in the middle of its attack animation. Help it differentiate at a glance what it is. So. Yeah, in case of like a Protoss mirror, but they had different factions, right? You'd be able to tell.
Oh, yeah, it could be. Well, what would be cool is the like 4v4 where it's just like each team plays one race, but all the factions.
Yep. Eventually, that'll happen eventually. I'll cast that replay eventually. So,
wonderful.
We do have the first one is going to pop out. You'll see the color scheme's a bit different, and they are slower. But as you can see, they are beefier. They hit for 20 damage instead of 15. It's pretty nice.
Oh, it's like
3 armor instead of 2.
Man, it's looking pretty strong. Oh, look how slow it goes, though. That intrigues me.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot harder to use, I would say, because a lot of the time your Dracs are out on the map trying to put pressure on, but if they get surrounded by the enemy army or just caught up to, they die very quickly. So it's quite a trade-off to have such a slow move speed.
Yeah, I think it's probably not so great versus Zerg because of the Zeth Vorv stuff, but versus Terran, especially Mech Terran, I mean, you can just stand and fight the Vultures when you do that much extra damage. So plus the extra armor as well.
It'd be quite good against Protoss, I think, when you're in this situation where you just have a few Dracs in the back line. They would add a lot more damage this way.
All right, going to be a Lattice.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
especially focusing against like Sun Ecclesias, where you have to kill them before they can heal again, could be
Hmm.
huge. But yes, the ladders. Now, this is the faction with the like simulacrum vassals, isn't it?
The Raenarill, yep. It's 3Crow's favorite unit because he loves spamming vassals and he
Oh
likes the
yeah,
fact that they split. So definitely a good
yeah.
option. They don't
Seems
speed each other up when
productive.
they die, right? So that's the
It's only a
trade-off.
minor function anyway. I honestly, I'm thinking about it. If it was like PVZ, the best option for Zerg is obviously to get a Sprafe, but that would be so easy to farm with
Yep.
those things. Then again, they don't have that much HP to begin with. I guess so it'd be quite difficult to actually pull that off. I don't know though. With perfect execution, it could be a nightmare for Zerg.
Well, if he's going to go for it, right? And I like that he's making a Golem instead because look at the Cyclopses are starting to come out here for Raenarill.
True. True. Although, honestly, the Golem doesn't do as well as you think. Your best friend is really just Zealots in that situation.
Oh, something,
But even
I
then-
didn't even remember to bring this up, but Raenarill's making a star pad. The Wraith has been replaced with the Phylock, which doesn't cloak, but is way better as an attacking unit. And look at this
Yeah,
double
I think I've
Stargate
seen
for
it.
Blade in the top right, so...
And there's no Stargate unit factions.
Yeah,
is there?
there's the Ecstatus, which has since been regaled as OP as hell, so I'm curious to see what led to those things. It has the Matrix passive, but as a unit, right? So it heals
that seems
itself,
pretty good.
heals units around itself when it attacks and around its victim. So, yeah, it doesn't have last orders, obviously. It's also a lot more expensive. We'll see how that ends up taking place. But, that's thematically on point for the Order of the Sacred Saber that want to minimize Protoss casualties wherever possible, for their units to be beefier and... have more durability options and all sorts of stuff like that.
I don't want to call these Striders. It's more like crawlers moving out here.
Yeah.
Crawlers scrambling across the map, looking very threatening. Now, Raenarill moved out a little bit. I'm not really sure what for. Maybe he's thinking expansion here. I don't see a Ministry. Is he thinking an attack? I mean, I don't know how good those Draconans are, but they look pretty good. I feel like they're going to smash through this army if they catch it out here.
Yeah, a
Look
couple
how big
Ecstatus
they are.
on the way.
Yeah, only an ant seal. Yeah, the status could be huge. If they just sit on top of the army, they'd provide so much more shields.
Yeah, at that point, you're starting to call in, like, okay, I need Goliath to snipe him, or maybe Phyllox to snipe him, but it's just an ant seal, as you called out, and there's the Ministry going to be placed on
so
location.
Look at it.
Yep. It's very large, very wide. The
Hey,
adherents
you know
have
what
also
would be
been...
a good faction unit? Oh, hang on, there's a fight going down. I thought he doesn't want to get caught in these mines, but he does get past. He cancels the Ministry. He probably didn't need to do that with the Phalanx here to support, but he catches them in mines, but he's going to get caught in his own mines if not careful. Like, he managed to pull back. So far, so good. But he's not really doing very much damage. His Phalanxes are so far back. Oh, now he's got him caught. Now he's going to do the damage. Nicely done.
Yeah, very, very good. One Hierophant down, only one remains. Totally unscarred so far. The Golem is gone. It's just the Sacred Draconans that are definitely going to pack a punch. But
Yeah,
so
they
far,
did
so
good
good. He has not restarted his Ministry, crucially. And you're right, he
good.
definitely didn't need to cancel it either.
Yeah, here it is. I was just thinking what a good faction unit would be is a Golem that you remove its normal passive, instead give it the Archon passive, so when it dies it gets little shields. Because I feel like the Archon one isn't actually any good by the time you have Archons. It doesn't really do anything. But in lower tiers could be interesting. Maybe it's busted, but that's why you put it in Faction Wars, just to see what it's like.
Yep, exactly. These quote-unquote competitive games are clearly just a beta test and show up the devlog build orders of like...
the adherents are here. Look at them.
Yeah, they got their big swords.
They're ready. There's going to be a lot of shield regen going on at this rate.
Yep, adherents have the Amaranth passive as a unit that replaces the Legionnaire, right? And they're a bit pricier as a result. Crucible's going to cover everything in the main base for Blade, and he is taking a third base at 12 o'clock before the Ministry is even complete here for Raenarill, so much better economy. And a little bit harder to defend for Raenarill compared to Check Stealer, which is a hard thing to say, but I promise it's true.
Man, in the good timeline, his Ministry would have been done long ago, but alas, it was cancelled. But honestly, even without the amount of town centers, look how many much more workers Blade has. Raenarill has hardly any. He hasn't been producing from that quarry at all, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, he made one Talos that's making a sieve right now at the Natural.
Oh, there
He's got two anchors, one of them not loaded. What's he going to put in there?
He didn't produce Masons to transfer either, so he's really very behind the economy here. But his army looks strong. Look at that. I don't know how good these status are. I guess we're about to find out.
Yes, indeed. He's got 8 of them. That's a lot of money that went into that, and so the Cyclops count is going to help it. Their shield's almost immediately refilling when they attack, but I think they're still getting bursted down, Neblime. It's just allowing the focus fire to come in through, and yeah, 4 more Ecstatuses remaining. Still great anti-surface and great anti-air here for Raenarill.
The Phalanx splattering everything on the ground. And yeah, you know what? The Cyclops splash didn't really matter with all that shield healing, but the single target fire was enough. I mean, look, they are really just Auroras at the end of the day. They don't do that much. So they did get burned through there. So very overconfident attack from Blade. Raenarill can probably just move across and kill him. This kind of looks like the Check Stealer game where Blade sort of attacked in for no particular reason, got smashed, and now he's in big danger.
Well, it's worth pointing out a lot of the anti-air did get cleared out in that last engage. And, we've got 6 Ecstatus all the way back. We got 2 more coming. Crucible-empowered Stargate, much better eco, is going to allow Blade to get a little bit further in. And he's actually adding Prostration stages. Of course, no faction units come out of there. But we've seen Blade go for Mind Tyrants. We've seen a lot of Protosses go for Mind Tyrants, even Arbus going after it recently. So it definitely has a place now since it's revision. 3 Crow smiles upon that reality.
Okay, new faction concept. All the profane units is replaced with a non-profane imitation. So it's like a demiurge, but it has no range and it doesn't reclaim. Stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that maybe the Protoss could have more factions at some point. One of them would be the dominated ones that are worshipping the Demiurge already, and so that could be an interesting angle to take. Though the Ecstatus has arrived, we need that focus fire out of Raenarill, and he's not really monitoring his army. There's the Ant Seals that have to get in. They're getting right on top of all the splash damage, but they are shielding themselves quite nicely.
Oh no, he's gonna get smashed here.
That was a much better engage from Bladehollow this time around, and Raenarill did not respond with any focus fire. He just kind of let his attacks hit everything else. And to be fair, our players might not know what these faction units do. So he might have just been like, what is that unit? Why isn't it dying?
So much shield regen going down, he just crushes through him. And now, that was Raenarill's one chance, I feel like. Because again, he's at half workers almost.
Yeah, very behind overall in this whole game, right? And he remakes another anchor, but it's a little late.
A couple of pariahs coming out, but he may not even need them. I think Bladehollow can smash through this position. The anchor's not helping you when there's this much shield regen. I mean, it's even just Goliaths as well, just for that extra little bit.
The golems don't even take damage. Yeah. It's so ridiculous, yeah.
Well,
yeah, pretty good power.
I guess. Golems do just ignore enemy damage a lot of the time. But yeah, no, there's no way to stop this with a few phalanxes. I mean, that's kind of the worst unit almost.
It's good alpha damage. It will eventually burn through some of this, but the Gladiuses are here. Yep, there's not enough Goliaths. And yeah, I feel like a lot of this is down to Raenarill canceling that Ministry when he didn't need to. Yeah. He was able to hold off that was before the Ecstatuses even showed up, right? So yeah, it's a tough comp to fight when you don't know exactly how it works, and the focus fire was not there early on, or rather later on, I should say. But by that point, Blade was already comfortably ahead on 3 bases to 1. GG has to be called, and Blade takes the game, preventing the clean sweep 4-0. Blade can't believe he's won. He's not typing GG back. I guess Raenarill was waiting for that, didn't come, so now he's getting owned. But yeah, that's a interesting position. I bet Blade didn't have any idea what was going on there. He posts up a win, and now it'll be Blade versus Jimmy.
Yeah, which is the classic, because they've definitely been playing a lot.
Oh yeah, big time. So we definitely got to see that. I'm looking forward to it, because I feel like we haven't gotten to see them fight against each other in a tournament before, because they haven't played in a tournament before, but very cool to see that happen. And obviously before, the day before this game was played, they played against Jack Yelansky as a team. And it didn't look like, I mean, I haven't actually seen those games yet, but it didn't look to me like Jack was too bothered by them. Let's just say that. So let's see what happens as we get into our next game. We return to Faction Wars. This time around, it's This is Jimmy in the bottom left as the dim gray Terran, and Bladehollow as our blood Protoss in the top right. So we have Futurist Federation now finally for This is Jimmy, and we have the Order of the Sacred Saber once again for Bladehollow. Looks like he wants to keep going with the composition that he developed on Tesseract versus Raenarill. What will Jimmy's answer be to it? He's already going to be harvesting Vespene. He takes off of gas immediately once he gets the requisite amount for a Fulcrum, so we know it's going to be a mech play. He's cutting workers for it, but, you know.
It's interesting you mentioned, by the way, that these two teamed up in the other games, because they're sort of not exactly like nemesis, but it's always like you see them playing, and then, look, we've got to be honest, Jimmy kind of crashes out after a few games, so you wouldn't expect them to ever work together. And, of course, they're back fighting now. As
it should be.
The fated matchup, yes. Like the natural enemies, if you like. But
yeah, I would kind of like to be a fly on the wall in their voice call when they're just bleating at each other the whole time or whatever, when Jack is beating them. Instead of being like united for a common enemy, they divided each other. I don't know. I'm just making up fan fictions at this point, but for all I know, that's what happened.
Unallying in Juggernaut, right? Just taking the fight to the true enemy.
Yeah, true. That is true. You could do that.
side with the Juggernaut and get allied victory. But you know, you got to say though, Blade Hollow tends to get the better of it, right? So he's pretty favored in this matchup, I would say. But you know, he wasn't able to take down Raenarill, so no, sorry, he was just then, but the other game he wasn't, is what I'm trying to say. So who knows? Scrapyard coming up here.
Yeah, this is something Jimmy likes to do a lot, is the naked scrapyard. No units come out first. You just go straight into blackjacks.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have access to blackjacks this time, though. He's got Tiengus.
Is he going to use them? Please use them. I'd love to see him. He needs a lot of money, though. They ain't cheap.
No, they're a little bit pricey on the mineral side, right? So let's see for it. Let's see for it. It is the Tiengu. It is that. All right, here we go.
Are there any Matador replacements, by the way?
Not yet. But that is planned for a couple of cases, I think. So we'll have to see.
Just take basically, just give him like a Maverick gun.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you can kind of think about it as one unit from the main roster of a structure gets replaced, and then one unit from each add-on gets replaced.
Man, he's sure is shooting those missiles.
Yeah, that's right. So that's 24 damage, 0 armor pen, and it's 4 times 6. So any armor that you get, like, say, out of an Order of the Sacred Saber Dracodon with 3 armor, is definitely going to cut that damage literally in half in that particular case. So that's going to be a little bit rough for Jimmy. But if he gets enough of them, I swear you can overwhelm even those targets. And there's always the idea of synergizing them with Harakans, allowing you to run up on them.
It's a bit of a shame, because I would say they would be quite good against Dracodons, because they would not be able to be kited, but these Dracodons are going to have 3 armor, so
yes,
they're going to deal with them pretty easily. But I don't know, if there's some kind of armor end, maybe Harakans? I mean, I don't know what option I'm picturing, like some kind. Oh, who knows? What could it be? But no Stockades out yet.
Yep, exactly. Nothing like that. The Futurist Hurakan doesn't, there is no Futurist Hurakan, so that is to say, so there's no, like, change there. You can just go ahead and deploy them.
Yeah. Obviously, he needs to tech the Salamanders. That's the solution.
Yeah, hey, I wouldn't mind that.
Wait, does Tier 3 have any Apollyoid adhesive anything?
I don't believe so right now. Yeah, the Salamander, once upon a time, the Salamander used to come out of the Nanite assembly. That's probably going to shock you. That was ages ago.
What? Was it better?
Yeah, it was OP.
Oh, what did it do instead?
It just dealt its ground attack to ground and air, so it splashed everything. It was
that's strong.
I definitely used it to eliminate entire air stacks in a matter of seconds.
Well, it still does that, right? Because it has the main attack still splashes air, doesn't it?
No, it has a completely different attack that's dedicated specifically to air. Yeah.
With no splash, dang.
Yep, it does apply Apollyoid, but it doesn't do any splash.
Well, that's good. That's good at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of worried for Jimmy already. You know, like in isolation, I like what he's doing, but specifically against these beefy Dracodons, I don't see it going well. We'll see what else he makes. Cyclops?
He's got a very nimble walker vulture group, right? And like you're seeing how fast the Tiengu moves by default. Oh, Blade says hash. It must be a... No, that's an early hash. I didn't get one. Yeah, it's true.
Surely they wouldn't submit the replay that was the DSIC that they didn't finish, would they?
I don't think so, yeah.
So I guess they continue. Well, maybe this prompts Jimmy to attack or something and the game's decided immediately.
Well, they call for a pause.
You know, I like the blue color scheme that's coming down the Futurists, right? They got the blue Cyclops, the blue Tengus. Yeah, that's right. Well, they've typed a lot of messages. Let's see if it desyncs. But I guess.
No, you can do up to 9 without any issues. Yeah.
Why 9?
That's just how big the buffer is. DF was telling me that earlier.
But why did they pick 9? Why didn't they make it 255? What are they?
No, it's not intentional. They didn't know that they were being goofballs when it happened, so they just bugged it. It just happens to be that way. Ooh,
so nice scout. Oh, he's gonna split. He's gonna split.
Yeah, second Renaissance.
Oh my god, this is so annoying. Oh my god,
well, he's got one Cyclops that's ally safe, so it's fine.
Oh, true. I was going to say, like, oh no, he's in so much trouble, but actually not at all. He's fine.
He's fine. Honestly, the Tiengu count is really good. What's up?
I can see those splitting vassals are actually useless. Like, thinking about it, they suck. Because they have too little actual HP to get many splits in. You know, maybe if there's something like Quasilisk, you could really micro it and get a lot out of them, but generally, I don't think they're that strong.
I think they're a great scouting tool because you can just freely generate more scouting from it. But yeah, I'd have to see it in action, you know?
You got a point. If you make one vassal to scout and you sort of run in like, okay, it died. But I guess with those, if you are just making it for scouting, you can make the one, run in and get another one, run in, maybe get another one, and that's pretty good.
And then suddenly
Here
your
we go.
workers are their workers are under attack by many Renaissars. How did that happen?
Yeah. Here we
All
go.
right.
He's getting ready for a fight. Oh, they
Yeah, a bit
might
of a
pass.
showdown. Yeah, I think they're passing each other like ships in the night here. There's an ant seal for detection. Not that it's really necessary, but it will also be for protection. One of the Cyclops might catch wind of this army moving in. No, it's the Vulture. Now he's going to go ahead and crunch on it.
Well, that's a big Protoss army, dude. I don't know if Jimmy can hold out, but there we go. All the missiles coming out. Man, Zealots as well with good armor. He's sort of perfectly adapted not to fight this, and he's just getting beaten back. The Zealots will fall, but there's a Golem left. They get taken out. But, oh man, these Dragons going to do so much damage from the back. He is going to get crushed through here.
He forgot to pull up his other army as well, and eventually he brought it down. But that one or two Hierophants in the comp definitely shredded all of that. Not looking too good there. Not looking too good.
I'm sad to say, I think in my prediction this has been borne out, that unfortunately these Tengus just are not the unit for these Draconids.
Right, it's like a very difficult matchup. Yeah, maybe that's why Jimmy said, because I think, you know, he's making a Valkyrie. Jimmy said, you know, like, oh, Blade told me they were just blackjacks, but different. And nope, doesn't look like it anymore. They are definitely distinct units, so... Yeah, he's going to get run over, and it is a lot to do with the armor. No armor rend was fortified. No Matadors came out of that one Fulcrum, making the Tengus.
That would have been a unit, wouldn't it? That's perfectly synergistic if you can make them both from Scrapyard. That would have been awesome, especially now that they move and Flamethrower. All right, GG.
GG indeed. So Blade Hollow improves to a standing of 2 wins, 1 loss. As we fill that in, I can remind you guys that Jimmy's not technically out, even though it looks pretty dire. And Raenarill will have an opportunity to go for the win in the group. If not, it's going to be Blade Hollow, who improves to 3 wins, 1 loss. That would certainly be a time. So let's get into our next game. Welcome one and all to Game 6 of the Group C undercard. We've got Blade Hollow here in the bottom right of Near Impact, which is, of course, selected by Raenarill, as he is the challenger. Blade Hollow is the Blood Protoss, and Raenarill is the Dark Sapphire Terran. So it's Futures Federation versus Order of the Sacred Saber, a rematch of what happened on Tesseract, actually. So, yeah, Blade seems to be sticking to it. He really likes this Order of the Sacred Saber stuff. He doesn't want to give it up.
Yeah, so if Raenarill wins, he wins the whole thing, right?
Yep, and then it's Jimmy versus Blade, yeah.
But if Blade Hollow wins, there'll be another chance for Raenarill, is that right?
Blade winning here would put, basically, he would then go up against Jimmy and potentially win the group. And, yeah, that would... So, yeah, if Blade wins the next 2 games, he wins the group. Then it would be a position where Raenarill versus Jimmy would enter into their best of 3, so to speak, their internal best of 3, where Jimmy would be down 0-1 to start, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well... you know, there's games between Raenarill and Blade Hollow went either way before, but it definitely seems like Blade Hollow is the type to just sort of build up an attack at like a random time without really much respect to what his opponent's doing. So it's kind of just rolling the dice here. Fulcrum, of course, coming up again.
Yeah, I think, you know, something I said in the previous group that we casted Neblime is that Grass Eater feels like the gatekeeper of Class 3 for me. And if you beat him frequently, then you can 100% call it a Class 3 player. I don't know if how Blade would do versus that. That would have to be its own group that we accomplish. Like, maybe that's actually the format for improving people's groups is like, all right, you want a promotion series? Let's go. You're going to be in a group with other, you know, Class 3 people.
Yeah,
you know,
not a bad idea.
I think it'd be
See how they go. Yeah, we could do little mini events like a promotion thing. Well, this is why we need a ladder, man. That's the way to do it. But of course, you know what's going to happen. Someone will just like farm 100 games as someone not as good as them. And they'll gain like 1 MMR each time, or ELO or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Starcraft's looking for something. Alright, these beefy Dracs coming out again, man. They've been serving him pretty well.
Watchdog down there at the 3rd base for Blade. Going to go ahead and scout him out, see what he's doing.
Very nice. Nothing fancy coming out of Raenarill yet. No faction units yet. But who needs them, right? Does he even really need them? We'll see what he gets.
So what's really cute about this is actually Raenarill might not... Like, he's going to lift it off, but what if he kept it there and he just used it to shoot down, like, artisans or drops? Eh? Eh? Just saying.
Well...
Then when it's fine, you lift off and then you scout with it. I guess that's what he's doing right now. He's actually just leaving it there, so whatever.
Yeah, okay, alright. I was wondering what drop you'd be expecting at this point in the game.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure about that. Artisans, maybe, but you can't fit a watchdog anywhere in the mining area in the bottom left, can you?
Nope. Yep. You'd have to kill the treasury to unlock a spot for it. So.
Okay, watchdogs normally can fire only on air. When they live, you should put them upside down so they can fire on ground.
There could be like that. I think maybe I'll do something like that for either the Escozi or the Kogri if we get there. That'll be, like, I like the idea of a inverted turret thing that flies, kind of like the Wyvern, but without the ship part of it. It's just the turret.
The watchdog transforms into the dog watch.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right, anchor once again preemptively for Raenarill.
When are Wyverns getting territorial control back anyway, or whatever it's called?
Land grab? I think, don't they have it? Or does it not work?
I'm completely paraphrasing it. They don't have it? They do have it right now? Oh, I thought it was missing for a while.
I vaguely remember somebody saying it didn't work for a little bit, and then I fixed it. No. That's the last I heard about it, so yeah. All right, so we got the Ministry coming up.
Yeah,
like Triple Gateway Adherent. Okay.
Will we see the status again? It worked pretty well on that Tesseract game.
Yeah, kind of interesting that Blade goes for the adherence here. It's like a slightly different color to his army every time, what he goes after.
The Watchdog is activated. It's coming in.
I like that he waited a little bit, because, you scout too early, you don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. You don't want to get picked off immediately. He's going to see the triple gate. A bit too early to see whatever's coming from this pylon. I think it may well be a Stargate. He's got a little bit of gas. Let's see if he puts anything down. He might not now that he's been scouted. But he sees the mass melee units, the Zealot Ecclesiast. I wonder if the Matador Tengu would be good here against that sort of comp. But definitely do need the Matadors in there.
Yep, you definitely do. Just to get rid of some of the front line, you rend their armor, the Tengu does massive damage. Its DPS versus unarmored targets is second to none, right? So, definitely a good move.
It didn't, despite its woes, I'm impressed by its, damage potential. There you go, this is Stargate. Yep. I think we're just going to see more of the same from Blade Hollow. And we need to see Raenarill with some kind of adaptation, because he was not prepared for it before. Now, I don't really know it would be good. Any splash damage doesn't actually seem that good, because, the shields are being applied to everything around the status. So that's not the option you want. So is a magical even the right choice? Probably not. Its single target is okay, but more Goliaths do just seem like a better option here. That's what he's making so far.
Well, worth noting that the Ecstatus only has one armor. So even though you can't reduce its armor with anything that you get at tier 1 as Terran, Tiengus wouldn't be that reduced in terms of DPS by it. It's just a question of can you fight and take a constant fighting retreat with the superior movement speed, which I think is possible.
If you had 10 of them, they'd be doing plenty of single target damage to take them down, I guess.
Yep.
Oh, the mine's going down. Ooh.
Yeah, he's got a very nice minefield there, obviously leaving his eastern flank open. Maybe he'll tweak that a little bit later on.
Being made. See, I think this is a mistake, because they don't do much single target damage.
Yep.
I feel like every time they fire, the shields will just get completely replenished. Unless he has an absurd number of them, I guess. Then it could definitely work.
Yeah, if he's allowed to build up to, say, 12, 20 Valks or something like that, he can probably clear equivalent numbers of Ecstatus, because eventually it'll get too high. But I'm not even sure about that, because remember, the shield steal is very, very good. Or not steal, but the shield regen is very, very strong here. You're going to pair that with all the Ecclesiasts that are shooting. The Phalanx is not really in a position to capitalize on these first few layers of lobotomy mines either.
It functions as early warning, at least, I suppose. But he's coming in Conga line. Or sort of. He's getting ready. Okay, it looks like he's going to get ready for proper engagement. It looks like the adherence, the sword is too long, and they're trying to balance it and almost falling over. He's running right into the minefield. Not afraid. He's going to continue. He's got to be careful. He's not taking a lot of damage here. Oh my god, he even moved to the left just to absorb more of the mines.
It's like he's deliberately trying to clear every mine he can't even see.
Huge damage taken by the Protoss army here. Looking pretty good for Raenarill so far. And you know what? This massive vulture is going to help a lot against the adherents and stuff trying to come in with the Ecstatus support. Bladehollow's probably thinking, okay, I'll come back later with my Ecstatus, but I don't know. Is the secret weapon from Terran going to do the job? No armor pen, is it? But then again, like you said, only one armor on the Ecstatus. You need to do a lot of damage to take them down, single target.
Yeah, and remember the Valkyrie, even though it says 40 damage, that's its maximum damage potential, right? And so basically that's if you're in the face, you're shotgunning your missiles into them because they will detonate on contact. And, that could be very good. The Valkyrie obviously is a very hardy unit with 3 armor, 160 health. Very, very powerful in terms of its health. So.
Does it do the thing that Brood War Valkyries do where the missiles go to really random set positions?
I think we've fixed it for the Valkyrie. Yeah, it should just go.
Shoots them straight ahead.
It's almost like a fork in terms of its attack pattern, but it comes out as like a salvo, right? So it's not all at once. And the fact is, you're going to get a lot more concentrated damage if your Valkyrie is putting its nose right on the target that it's trying to shoot. or right on any target, because as long as it's colliding with an enemy unit, it will detonate on the spot.
Right.
So that's where you can get a lot of value, but again, you need to very specifically handle that, and it's a fair critique of a unit. If the unit is so difficult to use for most people that they can't really shine, and then when they are used properly by the very select few who know about it and use it properly, they just annihilate, that's probably a little bit too feast or famine. I'm aware of that as a potential critique, but that's sort of where we're at right now. As long as we set aside, oh, should this be balanced differently? Those are the situations that Raenarill finds themselves in. So let's see what happens.
You know, there will be a number of Valkyries where this will work. It's just the question of when BladehollowRWL attacks, if he attacks at all, if he'll have reached that number. And, you know, it's getting pretty high. I don't know if we got so far. We've got 5 out here. I don't know. I mean, he's getting to the point where he will more than one-shot the shield. So I think it is actually going to work out for Raenarill this time.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. We got 13 Ecstatuses going forward, and there's a good number of ground army here as well. Pariahs were starting to be added in. That's the only source of splash damage that he has. So that will potentially fend off the Valkyries, but what we need to see is Blade has to keep his air army with his ground army in order to make this work. Raenarill has to keep a minefield going, which he hasn't replenished, or he needs to at the very least be standing with his phalanxes. If either army is async, the async army will be the one that destroys itself. I'm almost guaranteeing you that.
Yeah, it's happening right now. This Goliath and Vulture's out on their own as he moves in. Of course, they're going to get baited into the fight. Where are the Valkyries? Although, you know, the Goliath's doing good damage so far. That one Pariah is going to do work today. He re-sieges, moves back to a defensive position. Not too many losses taken. Here we go. Valkyrie's getting in there. Can they
they're spreading too much of that. Oh, the mine stun. Yeah. There was one mine left, and it was on top of the army. But yeah, the Valkyries needed to actually be close range, and they're not really doing it. The Ecstatus shield steal, too good.
None of them are fallen, by the way. The only Ecstatus that died is the one that got hit by Goliath at the start. The rest are all still alive. And this is what I was afraid of. You know, the Valkyries on paper, they did a lot of damage, but it was so spread, it just got completely healed. And the Ecclesia section helped out a lot as well.
Yes.
Complete devastation. BladehollowRWL's found the OP comp. He just crushes through.
Yeah, it seems like it. You know, what's the answer for this? It's definitely not in the case of the Valkyries, but it didn't help that a lot of his ground army got stunned, you know?
If he had like 3 times as many, maybe.
Yeah, again, he didn't use them right in melee range, right? So that's another thing. And again, I don't think he knows that about them in the first place. So it definitely is a struggle. He's not going to be able to make it happen there.
That would be so OP. In fact, we're watching it right now. It is so OP. Look at that guy go.
Yep. Can't break him. Can't break his shields. Look at how fast it restores. Very, very nice. Yeah.
Just topping up. I mean, Ray's got to know he's dead. What's he waiting for?
I don't know.
If he can just get one more Valkyrie out, he can definitely kill all these. Definitely. No. GG.
Yeah, GG is called. Yeah, there's a couple of things that you could do about the Ecstatus. Jimmy's very happy he can fight BladehollowRWL. Well, yeah. All right. So with all that said, yeah, definitely a rough game for Raenarill. Goes down to 3-2. It looks like BladehollowRWL will improve, and if he continues his record, you know, Jimmy could play spoiler. Jimmy could technically win against Blade, win against Raenarill, win against Blade again, win against Raenarill again. We could have the longest group of them all if Jimmy goes on his hot streak right now. But otherwise, Blade will win. If he wins here, it's over for first place contention, and it'll be Raenarill versus Jimmy as the decider. So that's basically where we are at in this particular part of the format.
Pick the faction with the hot shot to start going on his hot streak, as you say.
Hikatan Coalition? Let's find out. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, back for what could be a very momentous occasion here, as this is Jimmy, our Dim Grey Terran, in the top right of Frosted Forest, his map pick, versus BladehollowRWL in the bottom left. Here, our Blood Protoss. I think, you know, well, let's see what we got. We do indeed have Order of the Sacred Saber again, but it's Orion Imperium for Jimmy. He's not picked a faction. Or if he did, he picked Orion. I didn't see. He's going to go straight normal. Straight normal. He wants to go for the Bio versus the Protoss. Maybe you kill him before you can make the Stargate. That's always an option.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I used to say about Argosy. Before Acropolis 2, you know, I was sort of coaching Jack Zerg, but also I guess just like asking what I was going to do. And he said, like, right, what do you do if it's Argosy? And I said, well, my plan is I go make a bunch of overlaps and drop Hydras on it and kill it before it makes anything. That's the best way to play against Argosy, you know? So is that the way he's looking at these status? Like, if the status come out, it's over, so you got to take him out before he makes them? I don't know.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I'm not sure that anybody besides Blade really knows how they work, and maybe even Blade doesn't know them all. He's just like, I win when I make these. So, you know, that could also be the case.
I think he had an idea, because he mixed them with the what do you call them, adherents, and a lot of
Yep.
Ecclesiasts as well. So I think he gets it. And Pariah, of course, just adding insane damage with that. Pretty early scout coming up. Sorry, instead of Naked Scrapyard, Naked Covenant.
Naked Covenant, I don't even... What are you going to do here? I guess you get a Savant as your first combat unit, but that is so greedy.
I mean,
What if it's just like a couple of units that come across the map as of first, you know? Like, that's...
Well, a single Eidolon could potentially work if you can't find it. Like, say you run in with a Dracodon or a Hierophant or something like, I'm going to kill you, but you're just getting shot and you don't know where from. I don't know. It's probably possible. It is going to be a Savant. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's the more reliable one. They're a bit durable, more mobile, etc.,
It
etc.
can't 1v1 like any gateway unit, can it? Maybe a Legionnaire.
You deploy it and you're repairing it while it's deployed. I think it'll 1v1 anything.
Actually,
But
true,
I don't think this
Right.
Naked Covenant strategy is a good one. I'm just saying, like, functionally, it could work, I guess.
I guess you're right. If it's in Power Siphon, actually probably could 1v1 a Dracodon or a...
Yeah, it's just going to reduce its DPS to 0 anyways.
Yeah. And it's owned to 1 million. Oh,
Look at
there
that.
we go. He turned it on. He's ready.
Yeah, he's got his
Man, I
turret
haven't
deployed.
seen this new graphic very much. That's pretty cool. Reminds me of UFO Aftermath, if that's a game you've ever seen.
I haven't, but it's very evocative of, like, any sort of infantry deployment in any game, you know, having that.
Yes.
Because they can't go into anchors like this. They have to be deployed in this way,
course.
yeah. But, you know, it's like, where's my sentinels? Sentinels at home, you know, and then the Savant just drops.
So, do they get extra transport space when they're deployed as well? Like, if you pick them up, can you drop them deployed?
Yeah, you can pick them up and they would be for transport space while deployed. So
Yeah, so not that effective to drop, but of course they deploy pretty much instantly, so it wouldn't be so bad to drop 4 of them instead and then just deploy them.
Well, he's got a second one.
I was going to say, he was making an Eidolon. I'm like, is he just making the one Savant, the Eidolons? But I don't know. I mean, you know, it's quite nice for Jimmy that he's immediately spending his money on these like more advanced buy units, not having to waste time making all these Mavericks and stuff. So I don't know, maybe I like it. Could be pretty good.
Yeah, there's the not-so-naked scrapyard this time around. One thing that's kind of neat about him putting one Eidolon in there is that you don't know how many Eidolons are actually shooting you necessarily because of the auto visuals. So there's only one in there, and then you also see the Savants. That could be pretty scary, but as of right now, I'm not 100% sure it's going to be quite enough. He does have 2 Masons preemptively on repair for that anchor. Next is coming for Blade.
Maybe they should be repairing the Savants. I don't know. Well, I don't think BladehollowRWL can get in here. Oh, well, he's gonna run right in and
he's gonna give it a try. He is focusing down the Savant. It's not being repaired properly. Oh, he changes the target. He's changed the target and he lost his attack speed. Goodbye.
Wow, that melted them. I really thought they'd last a bit longer because I think, like, okay, they have the power siphon, so they will counter the Drax, but they have no armor pen, so they'll die real slow. But no, they died real fast. Oh my God.
Yeah, when they can't shoot back. So definitely a good option there for Jimmy to leverage.
Well,
I think
clearly,
at this point,
this is the counter the status because either it's a prolonged fight, lots of shield healing, where you just build up your DPS and you'll easily gun them down, or if you have enough of them, you can go into splash mode and just wipe them instantly. So this seems very good against status, if that's what we see again, of course.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. Does Blade already think that himself? Does he trust in Jimmy's ability to sort of micro his army in that way and respect it? I don't know how much thought was put into this opener from Jimmy, but it's definitely working out so far. Blade allowing him to get away with it a little bit. And
he's just going hard into this Covenant play. You know, it's something that used to be very dominant with the Eidolons, but the Savants haven't really seen much of. I've played one really kind of epic TBZ with Shambler, where he made like a whole bunch of Savants. It was quite interesting, but other than that, we haven't seen anyone go hard into it, so I'm keen for it.
Yeah, listen, I'm happy to see them for sure. Obviously, I worked to get a new graphic for them so I could actually do their rework in the first place. A lot of Terrans are kind of down on them. I know Ayud loves them. Oh, we got a retarget on the Jimmy miners in the mineral. I'm not sure what that's about.
So, do you get clerics or do you get shamans with this? That's the question.
Well, Blade thinks that you get double lattice, so you can go golems. As far as this goes, I would like a cleric for the armor boost, but not versus the Dracodons. If the Dracodons are going to continue to be made, I think at that point you just go shamans to try to heal, and then you need ant seals to protect against the strike damage that the Dracodons are going to be doing to you.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking about it, and yeah, it does make more sense to have shamans because you would ideally just sit in a defensive position, dare the pros to attack you, and if the fight doesn't end immediately, you just get the attack speed so much, right? So yeah, any prolonging with shamans would be perfect. Now, blackjacks, I don't know, is that really the pick here? What are they contributing to this? Is what I'm wondering.
just kind of ambient DPS, which I guess if the Savants have the Ecstatuses on lock, then the Blackjacks will still be useful to clearing other things. There's not as much shield sustain from BladeHollow's comp, but the Ecstatuses do provide a lot of it already. So it might be okay.
These are regular manifolds that are coming out, right? So they're not really going to be doing that much. I mean, does Savants even have armor? Oh, they have 2 armor. My bad. I did not realize. Well, yeah, I still question manifolds, man. I don't think he really needs them. It is going to be Ecstatus, though, for sure. You know, I guess you can be buffing the Ecstatus, if not the Draconids or anything else. So, yeah, alright. I still think Matadors would be huge here, though.
A little bit of beef so that the Savants have something to play around. Probably a little bit more useful than the Blackjacks.
And armor rend, right? Because the Savants have no AP.
No armor pen in this mode. Yeah, they have armor pen in their other mode, but when deployed, they lose it. So.
Yeah, and he's not going to be fighting in the... I don't even remember what the Entropy Gauntlets mode.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
That's right. Good memory.
He's going to want to deploy, so he definitely wants it. And I'm just thinking, the main problem he's going to have here is if a bunch of like the Adherents and Zealots get right on top of him. Because I do think the Ecstatus will be dealt with if the fight doesn't end immediately in Protoss' favor.
Yeah, it seems that way. He's making a lot of them, definitely spamming them out. He's found his comp and he's sticking to it.
Jimmy sort of found his, grit, I guess, after those first games, because he's come in here and he's been producing pretty hard, making this deadly army. He wants this game, man. He wants a win.
Yeah, you know, it's really impressive because I was thinking about that earlier, but it was too early to comment on it so thoroughly. But you're right that he hasn't been floating a lot of money, which is not what you can say for Blade. So the Savants undeploy, they pack their turret up, and they're on their way out. So the move out seems to be making happen.
Got to bring those idle ones, man. Can't just leave them at home. Maybe he will.
There's one kind of hiding in next to the anchor as well, so that's actually 4 Eidolons in total. That would be left.
If the commander doesn't notice you, he can't order you to your death, so...
I guess so, yeah. Blade coming out with a third base, just comfortably building up. This is the scary part of when you're not actually set up for the fight and you're in a transition point. That's where things can get very spooky. A Madrigal on the way, but I think we commented on this before on Near Impact. You said it. Madrigal's probably not going to help you out too much versus the Ecstatus.
I mean, I have a hard time gauging how much single target damage do they do versus Splash, because usually when you see them, it's dealing with like stacks of air units. Well, let me look at the stats. Oh yeah, no way. It's not going to do anything.
You would need enough to one-shot the Ecstatus, and they would need to be not shooting at the same time. So definitely a different move.
Well, it might be a distraction. But you know what? Maybe if he puts in a Fury mode, it'll help versus the ground army anyway. So whatever. It's not useless. It's just will not be the most effective here. But yeah, I think Jimmy's army looks pretty menacing. If Blade comes across and attacks in, he might find that it's stronger than he thinks. But of course, Jimmy has to be on the ball and deploy at the right time.
Yeah, and be able to defend those units from the melee that has been coming out. Remember, the Ecstatus will benefit those as well. You might be able to reduce, the attack rate of individual units, but if Jimmy's not preemptively set up for success, he is going to be in a rough spot here. And he's not deploying those Savants.
Yeah. Then again, for the first few shots, maybe Splash is better, and then you deploy. Oh, here we go. He needs to deploy right now. He's not. They're just moving in. Shaman's not even deployed. Well, he will take care of the melee frontline, maybe, but a lot of shield healing come in. He
needs to deploy those. It's like not stimming at this point. He definitely could have had way more DPS, and he deploys much later than he really needs to. Where's the focus fire from them? They're all falling. Not enough healing from the Shaman and the Cleric. Oh, man, what an unceremonious execution of Jimmy.
And I still say, if he had Matadors, who knows? Who knows what could happen? But yeah, fortunately, he did not get the engage he needed. And so Blade's just going to Ecstatus his way to victory in the group.
Yeah, it seems like it. All of his wins were via that, so call him OP. Call him Ecstatus win farmer. But I will say, I do think that if Jimmy had gone for the deployed Savants there, that fight could have looked different. Also, you mentioned you mentioned the Matadors, but yeah, it's probably the unit is probably
firing speed with no armor pen. He might have had a hard time getting through the front line, but who knows? Who can say?
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point to make. The unit might be a little bit overtuned as well, but overall, I think that there were options there, and it's just a difficult time to adapt to something like that, especially if you've been grinding practice and competitive more than faction wars. You might not really know about it. Who knows what other OP strategies are lurking around the corner. I will pull the curtain back a little bit. I did say earlier that means BladeHollow wins the group. Congratulations are in order to him. Raenarill and Jimmy were then supposed to duke it out, but it looks like they didn't. I think maybe Jimmy like either left or maybe the it's a possibility that whoever adminned this group didn't know that particular stipulation of the rules, because technically Jimmy could have gone for 3 wins in a row to force a second place out of it, but any win from Raenarill would have stuffed that. So Raenarill will then by default take second place. And we just don't have another game to cast, which is a little bit of a shame, because I was looking forward to seeing if Jimmy could leverage his very, very good, spending in that last game in another match. But based on what you did see, what do you make of these players, Neblime?
Yeah, I think it was great that they showed up and really turned it on and bought what they could. I mean, especially Jimmy, right? Like I said, in that last game, he was going in hard, and I think even within this series, we saw a big improvement. And another thing as well, it's good that they're sort of cutting their teeth on playing in events as well. And I expect to see them all on Acropolis Gauntlet. There's no excuse.
No excuses. You must play. I mean, especially if we end up having, we always have had 2 gauntlet stages. If we end up having a third one this time around because of the number of entrants, well, that's also going to change things. So plenty of opportunities. All right, Neblime, thank you for joining me for yet another group of the undercard of March Invitational 2025. We've got at least 2 more to cast, hopefully 3 if we can get some of the replays from Group F, which was Jack Yelansky's Juggernaut group. Hopefully we can see some of those in action, but either way, definitely a room for us to see some exciting matches going forward. So stay tuned, and we'll be back tomorrow for even more Cosmonarchy.